its name, playbook, and making your investment works slightly different from the normal uh, theme which is happening elsewhere. So I actually found this very apt, more so that when uh, in today's world falling is imminent, what is important is to fail to get up. So even if you look at the global threat report or the global risk report, which is published every year by World Economic Forum, that was published in Jan 2021. Again in Jan they will have a meeting in Davos and they will publish another one. If you find the status of the cyber security, every time cyber security risk has been in the top 10 risk. In 2021 report, they have flagged cyber security also as a top 10 risk, along with risks like climate change, risks like resistance to antibiotics, poverty, and all sort of things. So cyber security also is a risk, but the narration of that has changed. They have said that what is the risk is the failure of cyber security control. So everybody around the globe, they are accepting the fact that, again I am repeating, that failing will happen. If an attack happens, nothing to be surprised. What is important is we should quickly take action on that. So this is the, if this is the fact, then the theme is very apt, for my opinion. Just, I will not take more time, just take 30 seconds before I go to the panelist. If you keenly observe your immune system in the body, which you have done for the last 2-3 years, 2 years, every time we try to improve our immune system because of the COVID and all sort of things. In your immune system, there are two immunities, broad two immunities, two types of immunity. We call one is innate immunity, another is acquired immunity. In case of innate immunity, if any attack happens, there are immunity inside which immediately try to prevent it, try to act on it, and then forget whatever has happened. Typically, from a cyber perspective, it could be your antivirus which knows the signatures. It could be a firewall which knows the bad IPs, this kind of things. But in case of acquired immunity, what happens is the action. Let's say there is an attack which is happening, and there are a lot of actions, defense actions which has happened. There is a lot of immunoresponse which has happened, and finally, either we could defeat or we could have lost also. But that memory that goes into the memory and remains inside the body. So next time that attack happens, the body doesn't think that what to happen. The series of things is written in the body itself. It is written that if this attack happens, you should do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, and it happens so efficiently in a human immune system, precisely because human immune system has hundreds of components, like in a computer you have hundreds of components. So in human immune system, not only that they write it, they implement it is more efficiently, because maybe it has hundreds of components, but all these hundreds of components are designed by only one person or one entity, which is the Almighty. In case of your computer immune system, we have thousands of systems developed by thousands of the OEMs. So integration becomes a challenge. So in today's world, whatever our cyber defense, you all are cyber security folks, the defense has to be playbook driven. I was so happy. I was going through some of the stalls here. I have seen people actually developing systems which can automate playbook, which can make you write the playbook and make cyber defense playbook driven. So I want to have one theme, that playbook driven cyber defense. Now I want to have a broad, we'll have a top down discussion of this. I will just want the panelists, every one of them, to talk broadly what is their view about playbook driven cyber defense. Sir, you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be part of this panel discussion, and thank you DCI so much. You're right, sir. So I think without playbooks, with the way the world is going, it's going to be impossible to manage the function, and as such the the entire organization as such. And why? And broadly 2 or 3 points come to my mind why playbooks is a must. Fundamentally, what is a playbook? Playbook is nothing but we're saying it's a workflow process design. We're saying predefine the steps that you want to take, right? And so a couple of 2 or 3 points. First is the sheer count of alerts that we are seeing now, right? With the expanded attack surface with digitization, the security products that we've been deployed is churning us so much of data. How do you handle this data which is so complex and which is siloed? It's not possible if you don't have a playbook, right? First, fundamentally that. Again, linked to that, we as security professionals over the years have been implementing a defense in depth approach, right? Right from the endpoint, EPP, EDR, to the network gateways, to next generation firewall, all of that. And now on cloud with CWPP, CSPM, container, we've been pumping in solutions and solutions which each of this is putting so much of data. How without a playbook are we expecting analysts to handle it, right? Secondly. And third, linked again, even if you have people, where are the people? We all are facing sheer crunch of security professionals, specifically the SOC analysts. They're a handful of them. And even if they are there, let's take both the scenarios, a captive scenario or a managed services scenario. Captive scenarios, most of the organizations are lean. You'll have one or two SOC analysts managing the entire enterprise events, right? On the other side, managed service providers as well. The same problem stands there because there will be a handful of them handling so many clients. And if those guys go away, and if the entire security handling process is manual in nature, person dependent, then how are we going to handle the show? So fundamentally, for these three reasons, I feel playbook is way to handle.
Ramesh, your view broadly on your view, because we'll be asking so many questions.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll be discussing.
Yeah, what my friend said is it is 100% correct. See, implementation, having so much of tools, technologies, processes, definitely a part of information security management. But when it comes to incident management, we should have a mechanism wherein certain incidents, certain activities, we handle automatically, automation so-called. So that is where these playbooks kind of a concept will help the security committee a lot. So that's what I can say, sir.
Okay, Aman.
So first of all,
Aman is from Microsoft. So your view should be something which is how Microsoft is actually helping thinking about playbook, and what is the philosophy of Microsoft on the playbook, if you can. Otherwise you can have your own views also.
of course. So first of all, thank you everyone for having us and having me. So I would say the main thing is, as Steve rightly said, the teams are lean. So when I work with a lot of companies, so let me take insurance company, manufacturing companies and all, and while building their cyber program, so the first challenge is, okay, we have 10 people and 10 people can do maybe 100x of work. But now if a bank is there, bank might have 10,000 employees in their company and the security team might only be 10 people. Now the 10,000 employees become 20,000, security team becomes 10 to 12. That's it. But the volume of alerts, endpoints, everything increases. So how do you do that? First, of course, you scale it. Whatever you are doing it, you don't have to repeat it. That's the best thing. Third, one more good point Steve mentioned. The industry, the skills are less, but one challenge I see is the skill is less. For example, if I have a team of 5 people, next year those 5 will not be there. Maybe 3 have gone, but the incident might come back. So how do I want the new people to follow the same thing which we have already done? So we should have a playbook. So all these things combined, playbook becomes very, very important. Second, as a security team also, we need to scale and we need to build automations and a lot of things. So especially at Microsoft, what we do is, or a very neutral view, I would say, to make things simple. If you have done one, save it, automate it. So that makes it very, very, very simple, to be honest. And one last point, again, from Microsoft side, what we are trying to do is, like if sir is from Reliance, and for example, I am from manufacturing company, if I build a playbook, it should be available in the community. So sir should have the access to that playbook as well. And if I am, for example, from an insurance company, Steve is from ICICI, he is from MCX, they should have the playbooks accessible both from an incident point of view, both from a threat which is prevalent in their industry, in their specific thing. So that community sharing also becomes very important. So that's my...
Very good. So actually, a very different dimension coming up in the first discussion itself is like playbook also helps you in efficiency. Like if you need 100 people to do the work, if you have everything playbook, and then you can actually make it more efficient. I'm not saying about explicit about downsizing, but you will definitely make it more efficient. Good thing. I just wanted to ask you guys only one thing, that playbook as a word which came to cyber defense when SOAR was introduced to the entire cyber defense space, when security orchestration as a solutions came into the market. So one of the parameters people are asking them, how many playbooks you have, how many playbooks you have automated. Could be 7 years or 8 years. Before that, I don't think the Misto came, the fast SOAR framework. But from there till now, if you find, this is my view, and you can always can contradict my view. I think that it has not achieved what it has promised. Even today also, if somebody says that what playbook we have automated, people will tell that I have automated populating a ACL in a firewall. Now, that is a very simple thing, anybody can do that. For that, you don't need a really playbook to do that, orchestration or automation. So why do you think that playbook as a strong concept which was introduced by SOAR has not contributed the way it should have contributed? It is my view that it has not contributed. Steve, your view?
My view is, first of all, I think organizations probably have not analyzed in a broader angle what kind of incidents are happening and what is the pattern of action in itself, right? So you will have multiple events that are happening, and you're bound to act in a different, specific way. Now, when it comes to SOAR and automation, there is that element of giving a privilege access to the SOAR to go and make those changes in your Active Directory, in your in your next generation firewall, in all of that. Now that requires maturity in terms of, because if let's say there's a service ID and it's a SOAR playbook on brute force login, right? And somebody's attempting to log in with that service ID, and now without really having a mechanism to roll back, if the SOAR playbook goes and deactivates that service ID, it can have an implication which is much broader, right? It can have availability implications, it can have regulatory implications, because some services not been there. So I think unless you understand and analyze all of those events and know which are those scenarios where you can take a hit, where it will not have major implications on the business, is where you can prioritize and take that call. But I think that maturity to come over is going to take some time, over a period of time, and probably we are still seeing events which are not, I know not many organizations in India today have really seen what is happening in the rest of the world, right? So as you see that those advanced attacks that are coming, or the increase of attacks that as we move ahead, and when people will realize that we are not able to handle it, that's when these mundane or regular incidents which are being handled by SOC today will get automated. But I think the fear of something going wrong is probably one of the reasons why we're not being able to automate it.
My view is like
no, first thing you should say that, do you feel that SOAR has not taken up?
no, I think it has taken up, sir. Definitely it has taken up.
Okay.
So what I would like to highlight here is the automation is a journey. So we cannot expect everything happening on a day one and say like I'm 100% automated my SOC operations or incident management process. So SOAR as a technology definitely has emerged a lot. The main challenges I have seen out of my experience is the many vendors in the market have a challenge of getting integrated with the various tools and technologies already in place. That is the biggest challenge. So there are some offerings which are coming as a packaged offering like SIM, SOAR, EDR, XDR coming all together in a single suite. There we may not have much problems, but many organizations have certain level of tools and technologies already in place. In order to make this SOAR implementation and the playbooks works as we expect, integration is the biggest and success factor,
Okay.
what I believe.
Okay, fine.
So if it doesn't happen, then what will happen? The journey of automation may not give you the required results.
Okay, fine. So Aman, you have heard a practitioner's point of view that definitely even he said that it has taken up, but he also says that there are constraints. So everybody says that there are constraints in automating. So as a service provider, Microsoft, what steps you are taking to actually take up that challenge and help them in implementing that is more efficient.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's good you changed the question just before it came to me because I wanted to give both sides. So, as at least from Microsoft side, I will again take a very neutral view. What we are doing is we are simplifying things. Like at least in Microsoft, when I work with my engineering team or product teams, so what we are doing, or when I am implementing, what I see is somebody has a separate tool for UEBA, something for anomaly, something for email, identity. Like EDR is separate, NGAV, AVs are separate, you have SOAR separate, and all those things. In Microsoft, at least what we do and what we have a program called private preview. So what we do is when we are implementing, we bring customers in and get their almost weekly feedback and see how we can simplify things as well, which can be passed on. So one thing that we do is, for example, Sentinel, which is one of our SIM. So what we have done is we have combined 4 tools in that already. So like it's already a UEBA, SIM, SOAR, and deception tool itself all in one. So you don't, and again, not going into sales side or nothing in that side, but just to simplify stuff. And then it comes to network anomalies and all those things. So that's what we are doing from our side. And also to touch upon SOAR as a thing. So there are a lot of capabilities that are available. At least from Microsoft side, what we are doing is we are making the integration simple. That's one of the key objectives because we get that feedback. Ease of implementation and also ease of connection. So you should not take 3 days to connect a single firewall or a single tool. It should be like 5 minutes. One day, everything should be done. Of course, it's not that simple. It's easy to say, but that's what we are trying to achieve.
Okay.
Second, just one more thing.
Yeah.
I also want to speak from the customer side as well because when I implement, I feel their pain.
And I'll come back to you on that.
Okay.
So you said a right question, so I can take a thread from there. Like you said that you are solving that problem to some extent by combining all the things in SIM. So my question, Steve, to you is like almost all next generation SIM which are coming, they are saying that they have a SOAR, they have a UBA functionality. And there are a couple of solutions, point solutions in the market who are offering SOAR. So whenever you have already a SOAR in place or an UBA in place, and you are getting a next generation SIM, who will definitely new generation company will do that. In that case, how do you actually protect your investment? You're actually paying for the same functionality twice. So and this is one. And second thing is, which is better, a point solution, SOAR solution, or a SOAR which is integrated of SIM?
So I think the decision factor here would be what do you have currently and what are your integration challenges, right? If you have an SIM or if you have some other systems which have been deployed years back and it's not feasible due to due to the structure of your organization or the system that you have, if it is not possible for you to integrate or the effort that you're going to put in integration is not going to give you that value, in that case I believe then that should be your decision to move to a next solution. But fundamentally that would be my criteria, because today it depends on when your cybersecurity journey and investments have started, right? As you were saying, right, in today the source, SIM, UABA, all of that are coming integrated in a way, right? So for an organization who's implemented this 2 years back or recently, it's easier for them to reach this stage of automation. But somebody who has had a legacy SIM and who has got a lot of other systems which are so discrete, it's not that easy. So it would be cost benefit or analysis along with what are you able to achieve when you're trying to integrate. So it's going to be a decision factor based on looking at both these angles.
Ramesh?
Yeah. As per my view, if it comes in an integrated package, it is always better because it will reduce many of the man and machine hours in getting the integration done successfully, and creating playbooks becomes very easy. But unfortunately in the market, very few players are there who are offering these as a complete package. That is number one. Number two, if we have a package also, SOAR and all these playbooks are dependent upon not only SIM, EDR or SOAR. For that per se, we have many other stack of tools which are required for achieving this playbook. Maybe AD integration, firewall integration, IPS, many such things should be integrated successfully. because playbook is not just a one which works around SIM and SOAR. It has to get integrated with many other tools that available within the organization network, so that that playbook creation, implementation, ultimately when it incident is kicked in, that plays in a very successful way. We can get best results.
Oh, very good. So, to you, I will ask a different question. Like, all what they are saying is like there are two solutions which is very important for our playbook story to become very robust. That is, one is SIM, another is EDR, and of course there are solutions. What Ramesh said is on the other side where you need to integrate it. Now, if I ask you a very for the timing, let me behave like a devil's advocate. I give a statement that even if you have the next generation EDR and XDR, if you look at the hacking which has happened, the compromise which has happened to big enterprises, they also had good EDR and XDR. So, what do you think that we are missing? That we also get attacked, even if you are on EDR. And EDR, as you know, and you know very well, that EDR also is another solution who started evangelizing playbook and helped us in creating playbook in the EDR itself. If that is the case, so what is that something which you are missing, which others should know and actually make this as a playbook to take back and implement that? What's your view on this?
Correct. Very good point. And the projects or the implementations, for example, that I do, I ensure that I take up that education as well, which I can pass on to my customers or the partners I'm working with. So very right point. He mentioned the integrations. So the thing is, at least the thumb rule that I follow is you should have a zero trust framework. So not only the logs that are coming in, if you imagine you are using a office application, so you as a user, endpoint, data, application, and your infra. So there are 6 pillars, and if you are a manufacturing side or if you use IoT sensors as well, so you have that 7th pillar coming in. So you should ensure that you build a cyber defense strategy which covers all the 7 principles, and those should not operate in silos. If your email is operating in silos, your identity and your integration is a challenge, SOAR will not function, to be very honest. Also, SOAR, like for example, you buy a 5G phone, but if you take a 3G SIM, there's no use, right? So SOAR gives you a lot of power. It's up to you how much you can leverage it, and you can only leverage it when you operate all these 6-7 pillars together, and then it works seamlessly, what I have also seen.
Yeah, it's a very good example, like 5G phone with 3G SIM, 3G phone with a 5G SIM. It's a good example. So Steve, so what is coming up is like, although playbook is very important, and there are constraints, challenges. What do you think, in your opinion, that one should do to start with to make the cyber defense playbook driven? Maybe 2-3 very crisp points which can be a takeaway for the people here.
I think first of all, you need to understand your current posture and what you are trying to. That's why I said from an automation angle, you first need to analyze what kind of events you've been observing, right? Because you want to automate something. 2 things. The objective of automating here is one, reduce the amount of fatigue that the SOC analyst would face, and second, plan for events that are really going to hit you hard, right? So I would say analyzing your security posture, predefining what are your metrics that you want to achieve, right? Means you cannot say that you want to plan for the future. You can't say that I'm going to not look at what has happened in the past as well. So I think the beginning point would be a very thorough assessment of what are your metrics, what are your challenges, or what are you trying to automate there, and then start that journey. Then you may choose. I would say, while he said all 6-7 pillars need to work together, I would say you start with one pillar. And for that, I would say identity. In today's world, identity is almost everything, right? You have all the possible tools that are there. But if you go to see today, attacks are happening because identity is compromised, right? So I would say start with one pillar and then slowly move to the others. Obviously, it cannot be a time frame that defeats the purpose in itself. But start somewhere and do a thorough analysis of what are your areas where you need to focus and do the automation.
So Ramesh, quick points.
Yeah.
How do you really start the journey?
So I would say we need to start our journey very much with visibility. We should have 100% visibility of what we have, as the pillars explained by him. and that is the first thing we must be very sure of. And then there are certain tools and technologies which are already in place, which can drive you towards automation. Like some of the EDRs have got some already inbuilt small use these playbooks, so we can start our automation journey with that. Maybe 2-3 use cases which can be easily implementable. You will come to know what are the various challenges, what are the things we need to take care while going for automation. That will be a quick startup point for everybody. And then we need to bring in right tool set, technology set. We should have a roadmap, and automation is a journey, as I said. So we need to start from the basics and basic use cases, like bringing in threat intel, right? Threat intel, how to utilize it, and making this workflow setup, processes setup, and then on you can take the technical inputs of various technologies and start doing the automation.
Aman, your view?
So again, just adding on to the both points, very good points. I have been in the same situation. So what I say is start with the very steps, a very first step or small step. Like you list down, okay, what do you do on a daily basis? A step can be as simple as creating a ticket, just automate it. Okay, a small step can be like, if I'm just referring to Microsoft, like if you're using Sentinel, a small step can be, if there is a critical incident, everyone of your team should come in a group on a Teams chat and do something about it. If you are working from home, automate it. So you just take small steps, keep automating, review after 1 week, review after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where do you stand, and then move to the next stage, as rightly said. So that's what I advise as well.
Oh, good, good. So I'll just go a little backward. In terms of all what you are saying is how to start this playbook journey. But fundamental question is, how do I write playbooks? Do I need to write playbooks in a Word file, or do you have any syntax of writing playbook? Do you have some kind of an XML which helps in integration of playbook better with other systems? What do you think that what is there and what should happen from a playbook perspective? Because writing a playbook in a Word file and then seeing it on one by one following, I don't think it's very efficient. Today's digital world, we should have some kind of a syntax which is globalized, which is standardized, and playbooks should be written in that kind of a language, and it helps us in integrating also. So what's your view, Steve, on that?
So I think there are two aspects here. One
The
is
way I just give the example of the way threat intel, when it started, threat intel was coming in an abstract format. Today threat intel has a standard. The threat intel, if you were in that standard, you can directly get into your defense system.
correct.
So what do you think, that the playbook should also mature like that?
So that's why I said. So playbooks could be fully automated or could be partially automated. First of all, to begin with, right? You need to analyze the scenario that we are trying to. You'll have to start on paper. You'll have to say what your team is doing today, because they are doing something, right? You'll have to put that on paper first, and then, as Aman was trying to say, start with one activity at a time. Now there are capabilities that you will have, like your threat intel, you'll have EDR, you'll have other solutions which are inherently capable of doing the automation, and they have ready APIs, right? In those cases, you don't need, you can go the full flog and go and do the activities. But there are some other scenarios where you need to write custom scripts. Then it will depend upon, do you have those skills within or no? If you have to write Python scripts, you have to write others, that may not be, complete. So in those cases, you may start somewhere, you may have not full automation, but you may have partial automation. So depending on, what are you trying to automate, is the capability of API integration already available, and the skill sets that you carry in your system, right? If you have the developers, you have your team is equipped with those, if they're able to write those codes, those Python scripts, then I think you should make an attempt and, try and complete the cycle of automation.
Ramesh, what do you think, like, is there any need for automating
Yes,
writing
sir.
of playbook itself?
Yes, standardization has to be there. Standardization is the way to go. I have visited few stalls here. They have showcased me saying that SOAR is coming with the capabilities like drag and drop creation of playbooks and no code playbooks. They are explaining that. So how best that will evolve and make the playbook making standardized, and how, again, one more perspective is, once that playbook is created, how that is going to create as a permanent database for future reference. That is also one of the aspects we need to take care. And the next part of automation will be how automatically that playbook can be created by the tool. That is one more level of playbook creation we should look at. Again, we have to wait and see how market evolves in relation of.
That's a good point. That's a good point. We'll discuss about that on the last segment. So, Aman, your view on this?
Yeah, I will again just a summary of both points, but I will just tell how I write playbooks. So simple, yeah, you have to start on a paper. You just have to decide, okay, what steps will I follow? There's just one step I will add. At least in the Microsoft side, what we do is we promote this community. So you can always search. It can be cross-platform. You can, if you are using Cyber Reason, you are using Sentinel, you might be using Symantec. Just search, okay, if a playbook is already available, just leverage it. If not, just write your steps, and then at least in our technology, what you can do, rightly said, just drag drop, query will write itself. If at all you are missing something, API integration needed, the tool will do a pop-up. Hey, you need a API, you need this integration, you need that integration.
Very good.
Also, so just sorry, just one point to finish the playbook only. Like if you use Outlook 365 nowadays, the email completes your email. You will say how, and they will suggest the next 5 words.
Very good.
So when you are dragging and dropping the playbook, it will say, okay, did you forget to include threat intel because this data source needs it? So
Excellent.
it gives that point.
Excellent views. One thing which comes to my mind now, we may be calling it a playbook. If you go back 15-20 years before, we had something called BCP-DR and testing of BCP-DR. We are doing tabletop exercise, we are doing call tree exercise. I remember even the global banks, I don't want to name those banks. So I was, as a regulator, I was looking at their call tree tests. When the call tree started, in fact 90% of the messages are this telephone doesn't exist, because the call tree was never updated during that time. It always said that this telephone doesn't exist, this telephone doesn't exist. So my question to all of you audience here, to ask the panel, what do you think that how often you should update the playbook, and what should be the framework for updation or of the playbook? Around this, any question you can ask to the audience, to me also. I will just take some 2 minutes time from the audience, then I will come back again to the analyst. Yes, sir. Important point. He said that today generic playbook anybody can make, and we have no problem that playbook goes public. If there is a playbook which is very specific to you, and you have mentioned something very particular, go to this IP address, do this thing, go to this place and do this thing, do you think that playbook should be written that way, so that if there is a loss of playbook, it is actually a loss of resiliency of these organizations? So what do you think, that what's your view? Anybody can pick up these questions.
Yeah, can I, sir?
Yeah, you can.
Yes, the concern will be there, because there will be internal data or internal process flow or network flow, traffic flow will be captured in that playbook. But what we can do is, barring those data, that PII is, so not PII, the sensitive data we can remove it off. We can create it as a template, a standard template. In this kind of incident, these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 playbooks, flow of the activities to be followed as part of playbook. So that can be through standardization and making a template, we can do that. That's what I can say.
I'll answer your query. I think from a measure perspective, we are trying to do 2 things, right? One is the MTTR. So are you able to handle your response time? Are you improving your response time by doing the automation in the first place, right? Number 1. Number 2 is the volume. We said that we have SOC analyst shortfall. People are getting stressed, right? There is anxiety, and then human error, right? End of the day, are you able to bring down your sheer count of incidents that the tools have been generating, and leaving that only those which require manual intervention, advanced investigation, things like that? I believe if you are able to achieve these 2, and you put these 2 as your key metrics, you'll be able to really measure whether the playbooks are working or not working.
Okay. So my last question, which is little much ahead of time, and it maybe it may sound little philosophical also, is like, I said you about humanity. Nobody writes playbook there. Playbook is written automatically because of the action which you are taking. It's actually history inside. So how do you think that in the new age, when we talk a lot of things about machine learning, artificial intelligence. Not a single person I interviewed nowadays, doesn't tell me that he knows artificial intelligence or machine learning. Everybody says that they know artificial intelligence, they know machine learning. It has, in the true sense, democratized. This technology has really democratized. If so, is there any potential for the new generation, SOAR or new generation, say SIM, should make sure that we have a mechanism for creating playbook on the fly and updating also whenever there is a change, so that we can actually migrate towards something called cyber immunity. We will not call ourselves a cyber security, we will call ourselves cyber immunity.
Yeah, I think this has to be done, and you've seen this being done earlier as well. You had SIMs in which you were writing correlation rules, right? But overall, you never. It's not that you've written a correlation rule and forgotten about it. You always tested whether those correlation rules are working or no, right? So you'll have to similarly. The playbooks will get auto-generated over a period of time. The only question and challenge would be is if you implement it without proper change management, without testing, what can break? I think so. You'll have to categorize your playbooks into something that cannot do or probably bring a damage to the organization, and where you can take a chance, versus those which you just cannot afford to auto implement, or be a part of your immune system, as you're trying to say, without testing. I think that would be, but eventually you will have, I would say at least 70 to 80% of the playbooks at over a period of time will get into memory and will get action automatically.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. It is possible, but may not be 100%. But it is possible, provided the allied services, the technology suite which is associated in this journey, should also gel up with this technology. Otherwise, if we simply go by the capability saying that SOAR will become 100% automating the things, that may not work out, because that will be 100% automation is a myth. So as my friend said, so over the time when the technologies evolve, other technologies, what I'm talking about it, SOAR alone cannot achieve this functionality of 100% playbook. So right set of process like change management process, and wherever it is required, it should go to the communication, should go to stakeholders, IT stakeholders or business stakeholders. All these processes are properly set up, and then technologies evolve to sync up with each other to achieve this automation. Then yes, we can say we are going to achieve at least 80 to 90% of automation can be achievable.
So Aman, what do you see that next year AISS will have few more innovations around playbook automations and playbook generation on the fly, whatever wishful thinking which you are having? What's your view, that what your forecast?
Yeah, so maybe I will share something very new. So there's one thing we were testing in Microsoft for 6 months, and we just made it live in December. If anyone uses Sentinel, they can see. Like for example, you have your phone, so you have your Google Play Store and your App Store. You download apps and then update your apps and all. So what we are doing, because we have combined all the tools together. So for example, you buy any tool, you buy semantic tool, or you buy a firewall. So it will give you everything as a package: playbook, threat hunting queries, dashboards, everything you need related to that, or as a combination that it can be used as an input. So we are giving that as a package, and once you install, you come back after 1 week, like we do in our App Store. It says, okay, update, Microsoft has given you 5 more playbooks. So what we are trying to do is, of course, we are doing and giving that packages, but with that same precaution that we cannot automate, as on date, we cannot automate everything and maybe break something at the end of the day. So we are just leaving at the judgment of the customer to how to use it and how to customize it maybe. So that's one innovation that I am part of.
Excellent. So I think we are coming to the end of this discussion. So what is coming out overall is, like, playbook is extremely important in today's world when attack may happen, attack will happen. Today or tomorrow, everybody will be attacked. So playbook is extremely important. And the second point is making the playbook is not yet standardized. We don't have today, there is no syntax, there is no standard for a playbook writing. So I think that is the area which will get evolved. And the third thing is, even if you write a playbook, integrating that with other solutions, making that playbook work, there are challenges, and challenges are not, which cannot be solved by only security people. challenges are mostly business challenges, because if something happens and you are trying to orchestrate a playbook or implement a playbook, it goes and populates something somewhere, and the IT falls, then there will be major problem. And the fourth thing which is there are a lot of scope for all these stakeholders here, starting from the practitioners to people who are providing services, to actually develop things which can make this playbook driven defense stronger. And there are views like what we discussed earlier, that the solutions like whether you have an independent solution or you have integrated solutions. So what is coming out is that if you have a SIM, which we may not call SIM going forward, I won't tell you the name, but I don't feel like calling it SIM anymore. So in that kind of a solution, which job is to collect the logs, do correlations, have situational awareness, do orchestrations, do user behavior analysis, I don't think we should call it as an SIM. But anyway, the view is here that we should have a integrated piece of solutions which can take care of all of this. Thank you, panelists. Excellent discussion, excellent threads. Now I'm opening up to the people over here to ask few questions you have in mind to anybody. Yes, you.
First of all, you'll go with solution that you have, right? And your primarily playbook implementation solution that you'll have is your SOAR platform that you have in the system, right? So you'll work with that OEM, is my view, because that is the orchestration and the automation layer that you have, and the capability of that layer to integrate with the rest of the solutions is which will define what your strategy should be.
So integration is the key in this automation journey. Till the time any OEM supports that API integration or whatever the integration required for automating these playbooks through SOAR, it should be okay. This one OEM or various OEMs, ultimately it works on API integrations.
Yeah, I have never seen a case that one OEM, a customer has all products from one OEM, but still coming from Microsoft, I've seen like 50%, 60% products from Microsoft. There will be other OEMs, and the key is to integrate and work together. And all OEMs knows that, so they work on that.
Actually, to just add to Aman, even if you have all the solutions for one OEM, your problem is not solved, because you will find inside that solution there could be so many components which is again outsourced to other people. So you don't know. I mean, your driver is developed by somebody, your OS is developed by somebody, so many things are there with different OEMs. So day in and day out, we actually use so many OEM solution, and that is why just a thread for all of you to think. Like that is why supply chain attack is very important. If a driver is attacked, driver means I don't see who drive the car. I mean something which is a compiler is attacked. A compiler is attacked, then any application which is developed using that compiler will get compromised, and anybody who is using that application gets compromised. So the seriousness of a supply chain attack is because that we have multiple OEM. There is no respite. We have to do that. You cannot have a entity called Almighty who will develop a human being or will develop a computer or develop a cyber system. We always have to have multiple.
And in fact, from a POC perspective, that's why that will be one of the very important elements, right? How much of coverage is which partner giving you? I think your decision would be on what is the maximum coverage. It will not be 100% coverage. You'll see what is the maximum coverage and what is the ease of implementation. And eventually, these are your two core elements of evaluation in the POC.
I want to add one more aspect to this entire discussion, is the capability of the team, security team. I'm not talking from the vendor, the person who is implementing, from the perspective of the client, like whatever the technologies we are implementing. So we should have right skilled people in client side as well. Otherwise, there will be chaos. Whatever OEM says, you said, right? Multiple OEMs, everybody will have their own priorities, their own importance. At the end of the day, you will not achieve the required result. So that is where your team skill sets, who can question, who can dig into the technology and help us.
To actually just last 30 seconds or less than that, to my view on the skill issues, which every discussion, every panel, they would say that cyber security skill is a problem. So my view on that is, let's not talk about the problem, let's talk about the solution. The solution for that is actually doing exciting work, giving exciting problem to the young people, and get involved into that problem. I actually run a very large cyber security function in the largest company in this country. So the only way I could keep young people stay put is perpetually giving them an exciting problem to solve. If you do that, you actually, that is one way of keeping people stay put with you. Thank you, guys.